What's up, everybody? Welcome to Teen Life Group for today. We are going to continue our study in the book of Proverbs, chapter number 18, and so you can obviously feel free to go ahead and go there. We're going to be in verse number 5 today, and so we are again going to continue our study entitled "Don't Be a Fool." And last week we kind of took a little bit of a break, and we saw a wise person and their wise words. And then today we're going to kind of look back and see something that a foolish person does. And so just some really practical stuff here today. And so I hope this will be a blessing and a help to you. And so I am looking forward to studying this. Verse number 5, our title for today is A Righteous Judge. And so you are the one that needs to be a righteous judge. And so we'll look at this today and have a good time with it. And so verse number 5, let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm going to open in prayer, and then we will read our verse for today. Dear Father, thank you for today. Thank you that we can spend a little time in your word right now, and I pray that you would just help our study to be profitable and something that pleases you, and help me to speak and say the things that I need to, and that it would be something that we can apply to our life. Help us to be righteous in our judgments and to please you with the way we treat others. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so a righteous judge today. We're in verse number 5. So if you take a look up here, turn or click to your verse. Verse 5 says this: "To show partiality to the wicked is not good, nor to thrust aside the righteous in judgment." And so we're going to kind of follow our normal plan here. I will go through and we're going to define a couple words, and then we're going to see how this can apply to us. And so you're just looking at to show partiality to the wicked is not good. We're going to look at that word partiality here first, and then we're also going to look at those two words, to thrust aside, and what those things mean. And so obviously if you're showing partiality, this verse says if you're being partial to the wicked, that's not a good thing, okay? That word not good is pretty simple. It means not good, okay? The same way you would understand it, there's no secret meaning there. It's not a good thing to do this. And so what we've got to do is we want to understand what this proverb is teaching us, so that we in turn don't do that and have actions that are not good or judgments that are not good and live in a way that's not pleasing to the Lord. What also is not good, okay? Nor to thrust aside the righteous in judgment, or to thrust aside the righteous kind of while judging or in making judgments and that type of thing. And so kind of got the idea of a courtroom here, okay? A judge is about to pronounce a sentence, a judgment, a verdict on someone. Is that going to be the proper judgment, or is it going to be a wicked judgment? And we're going to see today that you're the one that's the judge in the way you judge and you treat people. And so I really want this to be focused in on you. Okay, hopefully you understand my kind of method at going about this, is that I really want the Proverbs to really kind of where the rubber meets the road in your life. I don't want these to be just proverbs that you look at them and say, oh yeah, that sounds great. That's a great general thing about life. Or to look at society and to think, our society needs to do this and be this way. And those things are there and they're true. But I really want you to read these proverbs and learn about them and be able to say, that is important for my life. And this is how it looks in my life. And so again, the book of Proverbs is extremely practical. And if it's not practical to you, then you haven't understood the proverb very well, okay? Especially these that we're going through, they're just really short sayings, okay? They're meant to impact your life. And they're not for somebody else, they're for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and start uncovering the meaning here. Let's look at our first little phrase, to show partiality. Now, before I start explaining what this Hebrew word is talking about, let's just make sure everybody understands what partiality means, okay? What is that? That is showing favoritism to someone, okay? You're treating them a little bit better than other people. You guys know what it's like to play favorites, all right? And you know what it's like to play favoritism. You know what it's like to have people play it on somebody else other than you, like a teacher's pet, okay, type of thing. So to show partiality to the wicked is not good, is what the first part of this verse says. To show partiality, and Solomon wrote this, the phrase is literally to lift up the face, okay? And it's this idea of, not like picking somebody's face up, okay, or like lifting their head up. It is, when it's used this way, it indicates favor for somebody. It indicates having confidence in somebody, or it indicates kind of having an acceptance for someone, okay? A really good example of this is found in Genesis chapter 4, verse number 5 through 7. And so I'm gonna put it up before the screen. I want you to take a look at it. This is where Cain is being rejected by the Lord because he brought the wrong type of offering. You remember Cain and Abel, right? Abel brought an offering pleasing to the Lord, and Cain did not. The Lord accepted Abel, and he did not accept Cain, and Cain got upset about it. So let's kind of pick up the story here, and let's see where this is here. And this is a really good verse to show this because this phrase pops up 3 times. Okay, so let's take a look at it. But for Cain and his offering, he, God, had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. So there it is. Okay, his face is fallen, and when it's used this way, he is upset. He is kind of downcast. He's a little bit gloomy. He's sad. All right. His face fell. Why did his face fall? Because he was not accepted by the Lord. Okay, look at verse number 6. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why has your face fallen?" And here's where I want to hone in. God says to Cain, if you do well, will you not be accepted? Okay, you see where it says accepted? That is the same phrase that was used up above it. And so the ESV here does a really good job of bringing out the meaning of this, is that it literally it says in verse 7, if you do well, will there not be a lifting up of your face? So why is your face fallen? Because you've been rejected. If you do well, won't there be a lifting up of your face? Won't there be an acceptance for you? Won't you be accepted? And so the ESV here really kind of captures this, but that's the idea of accepting someone. So if you look back at our verse that for us today in Proverbs 18, to show partiality, to lift the face, to accept or have favor on the wicked is not good. To show favoritism to the wicked is not good. And it's kind of an easy type of thing to get, but what our tendency is to read that and say, yeah, that sounds good. And then we just kind of go about our day and we don't really think about what that really looks like for us. Okay, this is not just for judges in a courtroom to pass the right judgment. This is for you. We're going to see that as we go. But anyway, so to show partiality, to show favoritism, to lift up the face is the idea to be accepted. So don't accept the wicked. Let's move on to our second one. Nor to thrust aside the righteous in judgment. That's not good either. Okay, so to thrust aside, this word means to stretch out, to bend something. You know, kind of like if you really super stretch something, it gets, you kind of like curving it a little bit. It's just like you're stretching this thing out, you're bending it, and it kind of has this idea of to turn something away from something, or to turn something aside from something. It's almost like to divert something. Okay, so to stretch, and then when it's used in our context, it's to turn aside to a different direction than the course that it was on. And in this case, the righteous man is not turning aside from righteous judgment. Okay, he is being turned aside from the justice that he deserves. Okay, so let's. I've got this little phrase up here. The righteous man is being turned aside from deserved justice. He is being forced from his just due. Okay, so he should be able to go and receive justice, and he's not allowed to go that way. And his justice is being denied him. The right to justice is being taken from him. He's being turned away from that right way. And it's something, again, that is causative for him. Someone is causing this to happen to the righteous person. in our verse. Now, if we go to see an example of this word, there's another verse that really kind of shows this really on two fronts, and that's in 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 3. And I'll put it up here for you so you don't need to turn there. But this is Samuel's sons. You guys are familiar with the prophet Samuel. He was a great prophet. He anointed David as king. He anointed Saul as king first before that. And Samuel, as he got older, his sons, he kind of appointed to kind of take his place. He set them up to take his place, and they did not do a good job with it. Okay, they did some things that were not pleasing to the Lord, and the people saw it. They did not agree with what they were doing, and that's when they started really asking for a king, and that's when they got a king, and Samuel was told to go anoint Saul as the next king. But let's look in 1 Samuel 8:3, and let's look at Samuel's sons and see how they kind of messed up, what was going on in Israel. 1 Samuel 8, verse 3, his sons, Samuel's sons, however, did not walk in his ways. Okay, so Samuel's sons did not walk in Samuel's ways, but rather these guys, they turned aside after dishonest gain, and took bribes and perverted justice. Okay, so you see it's underlined there. This phrase is used two times. Our verse in Proverbs, it says it's not good to thrust aside the righteous in judgment. This word "turned aside" is the same thing. Remember, it means to bend. It means to turn away or to turn aside from. So these guys, they turned aside. They went a different direction than when they were supposed to go, and they went after things they shouldn't. Dishonest gain, bribes, and they perverted justice. You see that? The words perverted justice are the same thing that we have in the book of Proverbs. So these guys, they turned aside to a different direction. They went after dishonest gain. They took bribes, and they perverted justice. They turned aside from justice. It's the same phrase in that verse there. And that's kind of the idea of to pervert justice is what it's talking about in Proverbs. So it's not good to show partiality to the wicked, and it's not good to pervert justice in the case of a righteous person. So that's kind of really what the proverb is talking about. So again, we're going to get to what does this look like for us? What does it look like for me? All right. And this is something I had to kind of think about and just spend some time just mulling over, what does this look like in my personal life on a daily basis, and to be careful not to act that way. Right before we get into that, though, there's one more thing I want to draw your attention to here in this first idea of uncovering the meaning of this verse, and that is the idea of the wicked versus the righteous. Okay, so the first part of the verse says to show partiality to the wicked is not good, nor to thrust aside the righteous in judgment. So we have this wicked and righteous person or people, and they're kind of being contrasted here a little bit. Okay, the word wicked means guilty. Okay, and so we saw this in verse number 3, Proverbs 18:3. Remember we talked about the shame train? When the wicked man comes, these things come with him. We said that word wicked means guilty. He is someone who is just presently participating in evil. It's not so much a characteristic of being an evil, wicked person. This is a guilty person. And that's the same idea here. Okay, to show partiality to the guilty is not good. Okay, this is someone who has committed something that's wrong. They've committed a crime. They've done something wrong. They've sinned. And to show favoritism to them is not good. Okay, and then the word righteous, this is someone who is a just person, someone who is in the right, and consequently we can say someone who's innocent. Okay, so we don't want to think about a wicked person versus a righteous person. Okay, because in my mind it's like I'm thinking about just wicked, just terrible people. No, I'm not going to show favoritism to them. They need to get what they deserve. And then a righteous person, this is someone who just always is just like super Christian, and they're kind of out there somewhere. Where those people are, they're the super saints, and I need to be on their side. Amen. And then close your Bible when we go. That's not it. Okay, it is the idea of here's a guilty person who we know plenty of those, and we hang around a lot of those, okay? And here is someone who is innocent, someone who's not done something wrong. Okay, so not so much just a super Christian, all out, totally righteous guy, just someone who's innocent. So a guilty person and an innocent person. Okay, so now let's take that and let's move it into kind of our sphere of living, if you will. So I'm gonna give you 3 things here real quick, and we'll be done. Before I get into these, again, I just want to draw attention that the focus of our application is going to be on you and the people that you know. I want this to be something that really kind of just right where the rubber meets the road in your life, and something that you can put into practice today. Okay, this is not something for people like way over there. Okay, it's for you and for your friends. Okay, so number 1 is this: if you're going to be a righteous judge, and if you're not going to show favoritism to the guilty, and you're not going to turn aside the innocent from judgment, number 1 is this: don't cover up for your guilty friends. So I really have tried to take the applications this time and make them a little bit more specific. Okay, the applications don't have to be this specific, but I've kind of worded them a little bit more specifically today because I really want you to try to think about it. Don't cover up for your guilty friends. Okay, I use the word friend on purpose because if we're going to cover up for anybody, it's probably going to be our friend, right? I got some pals in my life that, yeah, I'd cover up for them back in the day when we were teenagers, okay, or in college if I need, whatever I need to do for my friend, And so I use it on purpose because I really want us to think about it. This proverb says to show partiality and favoritism to a guilty person is not good, okay? When you take the side of the guilty, you are giving them favor and acceptance that they do not deserve, even if they are your friend, okay? And again, the idea here of the wicked is they are guilty. This is someone who has done wrong. They are in a state of being a sinner, all right? They have sinned. They've messed up. They've done it, okay? They are guilty. For you to take their side is to give them favor and to give them acceptance that they don't deserve, okay? They deserve the consequences of their decisions, okay? I did this, I was trying to think of some times when this happened in my life, and you may have heard this story before, so if you have, again, I apologize, but I remember I was a teen camper at the Wilds. I don't remember how old, I was not a senior, I know, but I was there, and I went to camp with another church, and there was a guy that I had met at that church that was a little bit older than me. I thought he was a super cool guy, and I thought, man, I gravitated to him. I wanted to be in his company because he was cool, and I wanted to be cool. And I was not part of their youth group. I was just coming with their church, and so I was kind of outside anyway, so I was like, I can be cool like this guy. So we're at camp. We weren't in the same cabin or anything, but we hung out. And he was a year or 2 older than me, which is probably why I thought he was cool. And we're walking around back behind the cabins of the Wilds over there on the guy's side, and we were kind of going back and forth somewhere. I don't even remember where we were. We're like on a little footpath, kind of in the woods back there. And he stops, and he kind of looks around, and he pulls out a cigarette, and he proceeds to light it and to smoke it. And I was just like, dude, what are you doing, man? We're at the Wilds. The Wilds will send you home for smoking, like that. There's no warning. They tell you that up front. If you're caught smoking, you're gone. And now I don't smoke, and I did not smoke then. And I was just like, I was kind of like, man, I'm like looking around, like, good gracious. Sure enough, maybe just a couple seconds had gone by, and we hear some people coming our way. He doesn't even have time to like stomp it out, or he just kind of flicks it. And the person who was coming our way was a counselor. And he's like, and he smelled it, okay? And I knew where it was. I could see it smoking. And I was just like, oh boy. And he's like, you guys smoking? And we're like, no. And so anyway, he gets our names and our cabins. And by the end of the day, we were called up to Rand Hummel's office. Brother Rand was still in North Carolina at the time. And he called us to his office and told us what happened. And we lied to him, which I've made retributions to him since then, and went back and told him that I lied to him. That was several years later after I was like out of college. I went up to him and was like, I need to tell you something. So anyway, we lied to him, and this kid's name was Matt. He looked at Matt. He said, Matt, were you smoking? Did you smoke? Were you guys? And he said, nope. And he looked at me. He's like, Chad, were you guys smoking? I said, nope. I lied to him. I lied to Rand Hummel. And what was I doing? Did I smoke? No. I was covering up for somebody. I was giving him favor. Now, was I in the wrong? I was not, until I lied. But I could have easily told that counselor, man, this dude is smoking. He lit one up and you can smell his breath. I could have ratted him out right there. I could have told Rand Hummel, hey, it was him. And some people talk about being like a tattletale, but that was not, going out and tattling. That was a man looking me in the eyes and asking me a direct question, and I lied to him. And I could have went back to Rand Hummel after we left, and I said, I could have told him the truth, but I didn't do it. Why? I covered up for that guy because I wanted to be his friend. And so what is that? That is covering up for someone who is guilty. Okay? I was not guilty. I covered up for the person who was. What does the Bible say? To show partiality to the wicked is not good. That's not good. And I did something I shouldn't have done. Your words and actions pass judgment. Guilty or not guilty? Are you going to be a righteous judge? I was not. My words called someone who was guilty. I said they were not guilty. What did I do? I covered up. I showed that person favoritism, and I shouldn't have. How else does this proverb come to us? Number 2, don't let the innocent be oppressed. Now, don't look at that and think that's some far off type of thing that you don't have to think about. When an innocent person, okay, an innocent kid, an innocent teenager gets in trouble for things that they shouldn't. Okay. I use that word oppressed, I'm talking about, hey, this is someone who's gotten in trouble when they should not have gotten in trouble. This is someone who has suffered some kind of loss that they shouldn't have suffered. Again, they got in trouble, or maybe they did not get something good that they should have gotten because they were seen as guilty when they were really innocent. Or maybe something that they had was taken away from them because someone thought they were guilty when really they were innocent. Okay? So you should not allow this to happen. You should stand up for righteousness and stand up for someone who is innocent. So kind of the flip thing here, when you do not take the side of the innocent person, then you deny them the favor and acceptance that they do deserve. Okay? If someone is, again, try not to let your mind just focus in on if someone's getting ready to get in trouble or not. Okay? If someone is righteously just and innocent and something bad is happening to them that should not be happening, that is that person, they're not getting justice. And this is a very broad thing you can kind of think about. If you can stop that from happening, you should. Okay? Another example of this, which may kind of help you a little bit. When I was in middle school, I was sitting at the lunch table, and I don't know, there were probably 400 or 500 kids maybe in our class, in our school. And I had a great idea. I don't know, I was probably 7th grade. I sat across the table from one of my friends. Her name was Erica Newsom. I said, "Hey, Erica, you got a nickel or a dime or something? I'm trying to get a little snack." A nickel or a dime, that's nothing, right? Oh, yeah, she kind of reaches in there and she gives me a dime. But here's the thing. I did not need a nickel or a dime or anything. I just wanted to see if she'd give it to me. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to keep this thing going. And so throughout the day, I would just ask kids, "You got a quarter I can borrow? You got a nickel? You got a dime?" I wasn't asking people for $1 or for $5. I'm asking them just for change. People are in their pocket like, "Yeah, here." Or I say, "Hey, you got a dime?" They're like, "No, but I got a quarter." They're like, "Here, just take it. I don't care. It's a quarter." I got home that day with a pocket full of change. And I was kind of pulling all this money out. And my mom was like, "What you got?" I said, "Man." And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I wasn't trying to hide it from her. I was like, "Mom, check this out. I got all this change." I think it was like around $5 worth of change, which, for where I was at in my life, I was like, I just got, some free, like $5 or $10, whatever it was. And she kind of looked at it and she's just like, "Where did you get that?" And I told her, but I wasn't trying to hide it. I mean, I was like proud of myself for making this money. It was like, "I worked hard for this money, Mom." And I told her what happened, and she was not pleased with me at all. She said, "Chad, you stole from those people. You robbed them. You didn't need that money. You just were taking it from people." And it didn't register with me immediately. I remember thinking, "Mom, what are you talking about? They gave it to me." I asked for it and they gave it. But she knew what was going on. She knew that I had taken advantage of people, even ever so slightly. Each person was just a slight taking advantage of. They were, in their mind, they were innocently thinking, "Hey, Chad needs a dime to go buy a bag of chips. I think I'll give him one." Chad just took their money. And so what did she make me do? She made me go back to school the next day and give back all of that money. And that is one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. It was so bad. I was like, here's your nickel back. And I told them what happened. They were like, "What? You cheat?" And so I had all these friends, and the next day they were like, "Man, Chad's a cheater. Don't get him anything." But what was she doing? Okay, my mom was not letting innocent people be taken advantage of. She was making sure that the right, just thing happened to them, even though those people didn't even know that they were being taken advantage of. So she definitely kind of stepped in there. So your words and actions pass judgment. Guilty or not guilty? Are you a righteous judge? My mom looked at me and said, "Son, you are guilty. You need to make that right." And I got a sentence passed on me, I guess you could say. So, number one is don't cover up for guilty friends. I didn't harp on this a whole lot with you, but it is very easy to cover up for your friends, okay? Especially your good friends. I covered up for a nobody, all right, smoking at the wilds. But when you got good friends that you're really good and you're close to, you need to be very careful, okay? Hey, if my friend is stupid enough to do something wrong, then he can handle the consequences. And as a teenager, it's really hard to think that way. And as an adult, it's still hard to think that way. But hey, that's the truth. All right, this isn't where somebody slipped up and needs help. This is where they are guilty of something. And are you going to cover up for them? So that's number one. Number two was don't let the innocent be oppressed. Okay, don't turn the righteous person, don't turn the innocent person aside in judgment. All right, they need the justice that is due to them. And then thirdly and lastly, here I'll be done, is don't favor the wicked at the cost of the righteous. So this is like number 1 and 2 kind of put together. Okay, this is like as bad as it gets. Okay, this is taking the side of the guilty, which brings trouble to the innocent. Okay, this is passing blame on somebody almost. This is really what's going on. Is where someone is guilty and you show favoritism to this person and the punishment and consequence that they deserve is given to the righteous person. Okay, and so your words and actions, they pass a judgment, guilty or not guilty. Are you going to be a righteous judge? And so, hey, I made some of those little mistakes in my life. And, I bet you made them too, right? Because here's the thing, is that Proverbs gets into the nitty gritty of your life. Things that don't really seem like a big deal compared to just like monstrosities that are out there. But the book of Proverbs, if you will think about it, what does it do? It can pinpoint little things in your life that you do that just, they're not right. Okay? Yeah, you're not murdering people. But what does this verse say? It says that is not good. And so you need to think about how you act. I need to think about how I act, how I talk. When I have an opportunity to pick a side, what side am I going to pick? And I try to use personal examples to show you that this is not something that's just some far off thing. This is something that we need to think about, and something that if we're not careful with, what'll happen? We'll pick the wrong side. We'll pick the side that's not good. And so hopefully you won't be too quick to dismiss this, and you'll think about it. Are there times where I cover up for people when I shouldn't? Are there times when I should stand up for someone when I don't? And are there times, hey, the idea of favoring the wicked over the innocent, our third thing, hey, what about picking on somebody? Okay, you want to please a group of people, a group of friends. You want to please them, so you pick on somebody else. What are you doing? You're favoring maybe a wicked, guilty crowd overtaken, and the innocent person is taking the blunt of that joke or that harassment or whatever. And so, there's all kind of little ways that this kind of, works its way into our life. And so to show partiality to the wicked is not good, nor to thrust aside the righteous in judgment. Hey, don't be a fool. Be a righteous judge.